Welcome back to That's Delivered. I'm your host, Truck and Ray, and today we're sitting down with Dustin Dickerson of Dickerson Custom Trucks, a builder and creative force behind some of the most recognizable custom trucks on the road and at truck shows across the country. I've followed a lot of the work they've done over the years and seen the detail, the lighting, the fabrication, the paint. And honestly, what stands out the most is that these trucks feel personal. They don't feel mass produced or trendy. They feel like somebody's vision brought to life. But before the custom trucks and the shows, there was the trucking itself. That's where I really want to start today because most people don't wake up one day building award winning custom trucks. There's usually a deeper story behind it. So, Dustin, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. Dustin, glad to have you on the show today. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm glad to have you here today. So appreciate you coming on the show.
No problem at all. Glad to be on here. You know, it's kind of a neat thing to even be asked to be part of something like this. So glad to do it.
Absolutely. So, man, just to get things started, how did you get started in the trucking world? I mean, I know there's a lot more businesses. There's a lot to business. There's a lot to truck shows. I mean, to the Dickerson name. And what got you interested?
So I don't know. I've always loved semis. You know, I grew up on the farm and we had some semis and stuff. We still have the same 352 Peterbilt cab over that I drove. Very first truck I ever drove. We still have it, and I still use it a little bit here and there. It's got an 8V92 Detroit in it, so it's got a just a really neat sound. And I think just getting to ride with my dad and my uncle and everybody just really kind of cemented my love for trucks, you know, all the way back then. But as I grew up, I started driving and hauling grain and things like that. I hauled some scrap steel and different things, and you know, even some concrete powder, just doing a few different things along the way. But I went to college in Laramie, Wyoming, went to Wyotech. Went to college out there, been messing around with trucks and tractors and things like that a lot, paint work and things. So I already had quite a bit of background in that when I went out. But I came back and I started a shop here in Thorntown, where the shop is now, with a really good friend of mine. And it was called Envision Auto Trends. And we did mainly cars and trucks and motorcycles. And we did well for a while. And then just kind of, I could tell as I was going to, you know, start a family and stuff like that, it just wasn't going to be enough to support my family. And, you know, hey, I was 18, 19 years old when we got started too. You know what I mean? I didn't know as much as I thought I knew, you know, as far as actually running the business side of things, where I was always, you know, pretty good at the hands-on type of things. You know, certainly not trying to brag or say I was born at the top or anything. You know what I mean? I've still got some of the stuff that we did back in high school, you know, and I look at some of the things, the way we ran wires or what we thought was the best we could do or what was the best we could do back then. I still have a couple of those trucks, and looking at them now, it's just kind of funny to see how your abilities progress. But as I was saying, you know, it could tell that the cars and trucks and motorcycles weren't going to be something that I could support my family and grow. There's just too much competition in that market. You know, we did a lot of collision work and stuff. And what I've kind of realized as I've gotten older and things like that, you know, the trucking industry is all about traveling and you know, finding the best shop. I mean, that is what trucking is. You know what I mean? Going to A to B and whatever's in between is no big deal. When you wreck your car, if you hit your mailbox, you're not going to drive, say, from, you know, Ohio to Indiana to get your car fixed. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we did a lot. You're gonna choose a shop that's between your work and your home, more than likely, you know, because it's convenient. So we kind of scaled back on the car shop and stuff, and I went back to drive a little bit more. And people saw what I was doing to my own trucks, because I was, you know, fixing them up and you know, painting them and different things like I've always done to the cars and trucks and motorcycles. And just started seeing the semis, and hey, you know, I need a set of pipes. Could you maybe do that? Or hey, I'd like to get my truck painted. Or could you throw a set of fenders on for me? Stuff like that. It started to kind of gain some traction. And, it's really just, that is the start to what is now Dickerson Custom Trucks.
Man, that's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of hard work. It goes into starting a business, finding your niche. It could be a lot to work to. I mean, you didn't give up. A lot of people out there, they may fall in love with the amazing trucking, but the reality, there's a lot of difference between what you're doing and what the trucks are. What you could teach someone to change their perspective. What happened for you to help that pivot into semis and finding that demand?
I think just hard work ethic. You know what I mean? You've got to be willing to not give up. You can't quit, but you also have to be smart enough to pivot a little. You know what I mean? I didn't give up in the auto body, the fabrication and stuff like that. I didn't give up on that world, if you will, but I pivoted to semis where there was less competition. I think you've got to be willing to say, okay, we're not doing as well. Things aren't going the way I thought that they needed to go. Let's try to take a small step back here, figure out where are we doing right, where are we going wrong, and and try to try to go down another path that's not a total different path, where you're still pulling from the same skill set that I've developed working on cars and doing all the custom painting and things like that we did to the cars, and the smaller stuff, just applied it to a different canvas. And I think that's probably what it's taught me, is a lot of marketing. The power of social media is pretty unbelievable. You got to get yourself out in front of your customer. You've got to show them what you're capable of, and then you've got to keep showing them. You got to stay in their mind. You can't show them one time and disappear, or that's not a real benefit to you either. It almost puts a question in people's mind, like, well, I saw that guy, but where did he go? You know what I mean? You got to stay in front of them. You've got to show them the type of work that you want to do. If we do a lot of 589 Peterbilts now with the notorious builds and all that stuff, and that's where we found kind of our strong suit in our quicker turn jobs that we do. We found that there's a need for guys that don't know how to order a truck or don't have the time to sit down with their dealer. They don't really know maybe what the ins and outs of getting the spec done are, getting it spec just right, so that when the truck comes in, it's an easy progression from we'll call it the raw material to a nice looking working truck, and then have us do some work to it, and then maybe find another shop beyond that. We are a true one-stop shop, from and then they fly in or sometimes drive in and pick it up. So, or we deliver them too sometimes even. So it's kind of neat where business can take you once you start to look and see what the needs of your customer are.
That's amazing. I'm trying to get some inspiration too for a lot of younger ones out there. Trucking itself can be exciting. It can be a little intimidating when you talk to people about getting CDL. I mean, those trucks are so big, and they say, man, I can't do it. But just think about if they could get into customization or working on trucks, reaching out in that way. What do you think trucking today still creates some excitement and inspiration for young people?
There's a lot of sense of pride in a job done, and a job done well. Whether that job is working on them or driving. You don't have to try real hard, unfortunately. And we even fall short in the customer service world. In the service to the customer that a truck driver provides is taking care of their truck, showing up on time, getting where they're going on time, unloading the product, whatever it may be, and not damaging it. There's just a lot of sense of pride in that, or there should be. I think we've lost a lot of that. People just kind of maybe look at that have been in it, or some of the trucking companies are just all about volume and not quality. I would like to think that most of the clientele we have here at the shop are of the guys that want to do a really good job, and I think I would encourage the young people to look at some of the trucking companies that are out there that take care of their trucks. Model yourself after those. That's going to take you a long way. I mean, when I got started, I guess when I kind of made my decision to step away from driving and get into more of the truck building, I rebuilt my personal truck, named it Built to Be Noticed, and it just was that. We built it to be noticed in the market, to say, hey, we're here, and this is what we're capable of. You have to show people what you're capable of rather than try to tell people, in my opinion. If you just, even if you're just a truck driver and you're walking up to someone, say you're an owner operator, and your truck looks a wreck, it's dirty, maybe it's beat up. Beat up is fine if that's what you can afford, but you can keep it clean. You can look like, what I'm saying? If you look the part, we joke around here a lot. Fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? It's, we're just teasing around, and I'm certainly not trying to say that I've got the world by the tail, but if you look like you've got your stuff together, people are going to take you serious. You know what I mean? If you're dressed nice and you look like you got yourself put together, people are going to trust that, and that'll get you somewhere. If your truck's dirty, don't take care of anything, you have a bad attitude, you just showing up in flip flops and look like you're a mess, like nobody's going to take you serious. So I would really encourage the young people to look the part, look at the trucking companies, look at the owner operators that are who they want to be when they get to the point, get to the point of their career that person is in, and model what they're doing, or follow their model. I'm not saying that they have to follow it to a T, but surround yourself with the people that are where you want to be. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty good advice for just about anything. If you find a group of people that are at a level or in a business or whatever that you're interested in, and you strive to be at that level or do what they're doing, you need to surround yourself with those people, because there is a real truth to guilty by association, and that could be a good thing. You know what I mean? Because if you put yourself on their level by putting yourself in their circle, in my opinion, only good things can happen from that. And the flip side of that, if you hang around with the wrong crowd, you're guilty by that too.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Sounds like you're speaking to me. I mean, I'm trying to hang out with cool people like you guys and the trucks that you guys have. I mean, that's hoping it rubs off of me so I can keep trying to do this when I'm, the podcast. And, one day too, I also have maybe a truck of my own, a show truck. So I totally know what you mean. I got a lot of chance to talk with a lot of great people like yourself. And I mean, man, your circle is in your control, and it's about who you put in your environment. I mean, these custom trucks are so beautiful. When you go to these truck shows, when you look at them, I mean, they're breathtaking. And, you see the dollar signs right away, but if you look at it, you see the hard work that's put into it. And also the people, the man that's trying to help other people see the beauty in trucks. So that's a beautiful thing. I mean, the painting is just spot on. So yeah, investing in the industry, when you see those show trucks and the things like that, how does one get started? Do you hear stories of customers, or as they bring their trucks to you? Do they talk to you about how they're able to make it happen as an individual, or what they want to be?
Yeah, honestly, I that's probably one of the things that I enjoy the most about my job is, what does my customer do? Are they, what's their purpose for the truck? It's kind of a twofold. I enjoy hearing their story as much as anything, or I enjoy hearing about what do they haul. Some guys haul just random stuff, you know what I mean, normal kind of things. And then other people haul things that, you're just like, I mean, I buy that, but I guess I never really considered how it gets from here to there, or the raw materials it takes to make that, or whatever. It honestly, most of it goes right back to good decisions and hard work. We're building a truck right now for a guy out of Florida that's a brand new truck, W900, and he's a very large watermelon and strawberry farmer. And he was a truck driver that wanted to be a farmer, and again made good decisions, had a good work ethic, great work ethic. I mean, it's just super great guy. that surrounded himself with the right people, and they taught him some things, and now he's doing very well for himself. I think it's just hearing those stories. I mean, that's what, to me, allows me to get a little bit of inspiration as well for some of the stuff that we build. But I just think it's really important for people to not jump straight to trying to do a show truck when you're trying to get started. You know what I'm saying? And I would probably say that I'm as guilty as anybody of when I started, wanting to have that nicest truck and everything. But I'm not saying you can't have a really nice truck, but if I had it to do a little bit over again at the very, very beginning, I would start out with a little bit different piece of equipment. So when I very first started out and really kind of started building my trucking company, I had a 359 that was 300-inch wheelbase and 63-inch sleeper, and I put a C16 in it, and had all the stuff, and I was hauling grain with it's actually the half round that I rebuilt, half round Mack dump trailer that I rebuilt that's behind the built to be noticed trailer, or I'm sorry, the trailer was behind the built to be noticed truck. Anyway, as about as heavy of a rig as you could ever try to haul grain with. I guess what I'm getting at is match your equipment to what you're trying to do. What I was trying to do is haul grain. You need to be super lightweight. I should have had, I could still have a Peterbilt, but probably should have had a day cab. Probably should have had a little bit smaller engine that wasn't quite as heavy. Definitely should have had a hopper bottom, not a dump trailer. You know what I mean? But that piece of equipment, I paid attention. I stepped back and said, okay, what can I do better? My equipment was good for hauling gravel. We hauled a ton of gravel into a asphalt plant that wasn't too far from my house. So I transitioned into hauling something that was more matched to my equipment, because the dump trailers are heavy. You know what I mean? You need a real lightweight grain trailer, a little day cab, to try to make any money with that. So I mean, as far as guys trying to get into trucking, and I would say make sure and match your equipment to what you are going to be trying to do, if you have the ability. I mean, some of it is too. We had that 359. I stretched it and I did a lot of work to it and repainted it and this and that. So, if it's like grandpa's truck and you want to run grandpa's truck, and an opportunity presents itself to, we're an ag community, it presents itself to haul grain, and you have, something that's not exactly perfect, then run it, because there is benefit in a cheaper truck that you love to run. But, keep your eye on the prize, and maybe try to move into something that's more suited, more suited to what you're trying to do, or transition into some work that particular piece of equipment is more suited to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's a lot of forethought that you have to put in. And once you get into the industry, like your niche, then you can see how to customize it, get it right. And so, yeah, I see that foresight that you have now. So, yeah, you probably could have someone help mentor individuals, help reach out to them and say, hey, this is what's going to work. Is this what what I'm thinking about running? And maybe someone will actually give me some sound advice. Just reach out to individuals that are experienced, that have been down the roads like yourself. And you should probably be able to get your truck, lined up just right and get it to where it's able to get great value out of it. So that's really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that you can't have a fancy truck, doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You can always start out and build. You need to protect your cash flow. That's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? You get out there and you risk too much right out of the gate, and you're just either swallowed up by payments, or just, things don't work out quite as well as you think they're going to. And I mean, I'm just as much of an example of it as anybody. You go out and you start running some numbers and I can haul that for that much. And if I do 3 loads a day and everything should work out fine, well, you average 2 loads a day. There's those days you get 3 loads, but it doesn't pay enough to do it. So then, you kind of can back yourself into a corner. And, that's where I say you need to just be realistic with some of the stuff that you're thinking about. And, like I say, I'm sitting here talking to a younger version of myself as I'm saying this, because I'm just as guilty as the next guy of being an optimist, and thinking that things are going to work out. And certainly don't want to be a pessimist, but you got to get out and go to work. That's the number one thing. You've got to be unwilling to fail, and if you've got those things going on, over time, that show truck will come. You know what I mean? You'll build up, and you'll make a little money, and you move up in vehicles and end up getting to where you can do something a little bit nicer. And you know what I mean? There's a ladder for a reason. You know what I mean? It's not only just the top rung. You got to work your way up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to put in the time. You got to, the hard work pays off, and to be patient out there. I mean, the culture of custom trucks, when you talk about why it feels like, family when you're at these truck shows, there's a subculture inside trucking. What does that mean for you? What do you think keeps people so passionate about it?
I just really enjoyed going and talking to the people. You end up meeting new people all the time. We've, in the last few years, tried to go to a lot of different shows in different areas of the country to try to branch out and meet new customers, meet new people that maybe have never even heard of us. I think that's probably the thing that I try to focus on a lot, is meeting new people, and they just become part of your family. You know what I mean? You start to be looking forward to seeing them again. And hey, where are you going? You got to go to this show, or you got to go to that show, or where are we going to see you again? And you end up you just pick up right where you left off. You go from show to show. There might be 3, 4, 5 months in between a show between seeing a particular friend or a competitor, and you just pick up right where you left off, and you're like, oh man, let me, I heard you've been working on the truck. Let me check this thing out, and then they show you all about it, and vice versa. Or maybe, if I'm fortunate enough to get to build new things, relatively often, so we get to show off new stuff. Certainly not at every show, but typically every year, or maybe throughout the year. So it is really fun to show off your work, and that's what I think I look forward to the most, is just reconnecting with all the people at the shows, and it's really, it just becomes a support team almost. Kind of going back to some of your earlier questions, what's some advice, to some younger truck drivers or whatever, go out and meet some of these guys at the truck show scene. Again, be part of their circle as much as you can. And if you have trouble somewhere, you always got people to call. You know what I mean? You go around the country, and, I've had trouble, and you end up thinking, okay, who's from South Carolina? Who do we know? Oh, that's right. Call that guy. He's going to know somebody that's, he might still be 4 hours away, or she, but they're going to have a friend that's right down the road that can help you out. And I think that's probably the neatest thing about, being part of the truck show scene, is just a camaraderie, I guess, and the willingness for people to give you a hand. You know what I mean?
You guys are actually killing it out there. Is there any opportunities that you see that could be improved on? I mean, you're working hard. You're trying to get the truck completed for the truck show and meet the deadline. Is there any obstacles that happen, or things that frustration that come up that maybe you could share with people to show how hard it is to get these truck shows completed?
Yeah, like every show we try to go to. No, I joke about that. We've got a really great team. I couldn't do what we're able to do without them. You know what I mean? Every single one of them. I mean, there's, I think, just shy of 20 of us right now, and it really does take all of us. There's a lot of planning that goes into all of it. Timeline. You still, you've got a particular date you're trying to get a truck done for a show, and then so you've got that show truck going on, and we've got our normal everyday stuff that we're also trying to accomplish, whether that's a collision job, if it's, a 589, a toter home, what have you. We've got things going on all the time. So, I mean, you got to get the show trailer packed up. You got to get, make sure all the all the stuff you sold at the last show is restocked in the trailer and in the soaps and all the stuff that we have now. There's just so many moving parts to what we're doing now, and certainly not trying to sound cool or anything, but it can be overwhelming. But again, having the team that we have, I am lucky enough to have people that's their job. You know what I mean? We've got, my wife does a lot, making sure that we're hotels are scheduled and things are ready to go. I mean, there is a lot of different pieces and parts to it all, but we have I don't know, we just are as coordinated as we can be. But as far as the trucks go, I say it all the time. If it wasn't for last minute, we wouldn't be able to get anything done. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't hit a target. And that's really, really disappointing. But a lot of times when we miss a deadline, it's because we're pushing the envelope to a higher level, and we're trying to raise the bar, if you will. Unfortunately, with the truck we're building right now, we've missed a couple of deadlines, but we've bought some new equipment and trying to really do more. So I guess I've kind of backed up, redesigned a few things, and now we bought a 5-axis mill, so we're machining some parts, really trying to take our builds to a whole new level by machining a bunch of stuff here at the shop. So I'm really, really excited to show off the truck. But I want it to be right. You only get one chance at a first impression, and if it's not tip top, then I don't want to show it off.
Man, you guys are killing it out there. I mean, I love the passion. I love the way that you guys is deeply ingrained in you guys and your team. I mean, you really appreciate coming to these truck shows, seeing a lot of the trucks that are there. It makes it, like, I wish a lot of people had more exposure to what you guys are doing. I think that would be huge for you guys.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It tells me that we're on the right track. You know what I mean? We've just tried to stay true to our roots and just build really cool stuff, do the best we can. We've always focused on just making it the best quality, and a lot of times that takes longer. You know what I mean? And well, every time it takes longer. I can't think of a single situation where I can provide someone a better product quicker by doing it the right way. You know what I mean? It's kind of the right way takes a bit more time. We really pride ourselves on wiring, doing wiring the right way. You know what I mean? You can there's certainly faster ways to make wiring harnesses than the way we do it, but I would challenge someone to tell me there's a better way. You know what I mean? And that goes back to having some pride in what you do. If you rush it and think, well, as soon as it's out of here, it's not our problem anymore. That's just not our mentality. And I think a lot of that goes back to when I was a truck driver. I don't want to be broke down on the side of the road because I paid somebody to fix something for me and they did a hack job on it. And now I'm sitting right back in the repair shop paying someone else to do it the right way, or had a failure because they rushed through it. A wiring connection wasn't very good, or, just what have you. There's certainly shortcut ways to do things that we do. Thinner materials, if we're talking about some of the fabrication stuff, some of the panels, the light boxes and stuff like that we make, certainly can make it cheaper. But there again, cheaper is rarely better. I would argue that it's never better. And there's a time and a place for a cheaper piece, but we've just kind of really built our brand on quality, and we feel like our customer comes to us for that better piece. They'd rather buy it once than buy a cheap one 4 times to get that same longevity out of their purchase. So everything we build here at the shop is on the parts for rigs side. So we have Dickerson Custom Trucks that does all the custom semis and all the main stuff that you see on Instagram and Facebook and social media and so on. But the parts side that we build all of our parts from is called Parts for Rigs. And we've put a lot of effort into that. We've been We've had that company for about 4 years now. We're doing a lot of chrome shops. So we have a dealer network and things like that. So we're really proud of that. One thing I realized early on is that we can't build every cool truck here at the shop. And there's a lot of people out there in the world that are like me that want to get their hands dirty, want to get in there and do it themselves. Take a lot of pride in seeing the transformation and knowing that they did it. So we build all of our parts in house, and now you can buy all the parts through our dealer network to do it yourself if that's what you choose. So kind of allows a guy that's just starting out to fix up his own truck along the way a little bit. Maybe they're really mechanically inclined and they like to do it themselves, or maybe they understand the need to learn how things are done. So when you're on the side of the road and your taillights aren't working, you kind of have an understanding of what I need to do to get myself out of a jam and get on down the road here, where you get in there and you're learning by doing it yourself. If you have a failure, or you have a friend or somebody that has a failure, you could be that guy that can give some guidance on how to repair it. There's some value in all that.
Man, I mean, you're definitely doing it. The show trucks that you guys have, I would definitely want to make sure that you guys are the first ones to call if I ever wanted to get me a show trucks. And I love seeing all the classic rigs and all the trucks that people love to display. What's your favorite truck? Maybe I ask some real talk. What's your favorite truck out there?
I started driving that. It's a 77 352 Peterbilt. Like I said, it's got the cab over. It's got the 8V92 Detroit in it. It just has a real unique sound. So I guess I'm probably always kind of drawn to that sound. You just know it. You know what I mean? You can be having a conversation and the conversation will stop and all heads will turn when an old Detroit goes by. It's just, it's just a neat sound. So that always makes me smile when a customer calls me up and says, hey, I've got any particular model that with a Detroit in it. Traditionally, I've always been a cat guy. So, I really enjoy, I guess, anything with a cat in it. But overall, I always joke that I bleed red ovals. You know what I mean? So I've always just been a Peterbilt guy. Really like a Kenworth. There's the guys give me a hard time around here. We farm too, and I run some of my bigger tractors are Alice Chalmers, so they're old, but it's certainly not my workhorse tractors. But anyhow, there's a model Kenworth that Alice Chalmers put an engine in for just a short period of time, and I'm going to need one of those in my life at some point in time. So now's not the time, but I kind of loosely have some feelers out there looking around for one. I would really enjoy to have one of those. But the first truck I ever bought was an extended hood 359. I still have it today. It's not the one that I was describing earlier, talking about pulling my dump trailer and stuff. I did pull that trailer with this particular truck, but this one I haven't ran for, I don't know, probably 15 years. I'd say it's been sitting, which is unfortunate, but probably my favorite truck. My daughter Kendall, she would definitely agree. 359s hold a pretty special spot in our heart. Just old classic trucks. We've got 2 or 3 of them at this point, and I don't know. I guess putting me on the spot, probably a 359 is my truck, but ask me in a few years when I find that Kenworth, that might be a pretty strong runner up too.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Nothing better than having a favorite truck. And you got some really specific trucks that you're looking for. So I hope you find those in the future, man. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy and you got a lot of things to get done, deadlines. So, you guys are doing it. Yeah. And especially this time of the year, I'm sure you're busy. So I love that you took the time to talk to our audience and talk to people, let them know, hey, check out a truck show once in a while. All the work that goes into it, the beautiful trucks that are out there, you're going to love it. You're going to it'd be a special place in your heart once you go to a truck show and see the Dickerson trucks and so many other trucks there as well. So I love that we got a chance to take this time and you coming on and helping us out.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly appreciate you taking the time and asking us. It's something that when I first started my career, I certainly never dreamed that I'd be sitting here doing a podcast talking about the achievements of the team and the business that we've built, and that's pretty humbling, you know what I mean, to be honest. And it's pretty neat that your viewers would or your listeners would even care to hear from a guy like me, you know what I'm saying? So uh,
Yeah.
we've got some big stuff in our future. Keep an eye on us. We're trying to build a new shop and try to expand and do a little more. So that's kind of my personality is always what's next, what's the next thing, let's do a little more. We can do there's always a little room for a little more. You know what I mean? So if we can get her done, the new shop's not a done deal right yet, but if we can get it done, it's going to be really, really exciting and really quite what do I want to say, a benchmark in our achievement to that point, so we'll see. Stay tuned.
That's awesome. We definitely want to stay tuned. And where's the best place for people to reach out and maybe check out some of your new projects or some of the things you're coming up with? I mean, a new shop, that's going to be amazing. Where can they reach out?
Yep. So DickersonCustomTrucks.com is our website. You can find all of our soap line is on there. We got a full line of soaps and stuff on there. That way you can see, you've seen it's kind of been a progression as I mentioned earlier. I've built the trucks. Then now they can buy the parts to build their truck if they'd like, if that's their type. And then they've seen all of our trucks at the shows all cleaned up. Now you can buy the products that we use to clean our trucks as well. So you can really, kind of follow right along with us. So if you're interested in that, DickersonCustomTrucks.com. And then on all this popular social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, just Dickerson Custom Trucks. And, that's our main way to keep in front of our customer. We've got Brian. Everybody knows Brian now on our social media. He's got his own little catchphrase. That's Brian Dickerson Custom Trucks and Parts and Rigs. It's how he always introduces the video. So it's kind of funny to see him start to have people come up to him at the shows. Hey, are you the guy that does all the social media? And he does a great job for us. And my daughter Kendall as well. She helps with social media stuff, has her own account, and doing a lot of pinstriping and things. And it's really fun to watch her grow. And all my daughters. I got 4 daughters. I got 4 of them. Man. Yeah, they're all they're on summer vacation right now. My youngest is 2.5, so I'm going to be I'll be 43 here in a little minute, and they're great.
So yeah, Dustin, we really appreciate you coming to the show. I mean, you guys got to stay tuned to what's next with Dickerson Custom Trucks. I mean, you guys are doing big things out there. We really appreciate you guys having this time to come on the show, talk about the risks, the craftsmanship, building something unique inside the industry that can sometimes feel repetitive and exhausting. And honestly, I think custom trucks remind people why they fell in love with trucking in the first place. So definitely want people to keep up with you guys on all those social media platforms. So thanks for mentioning that as well. This has been another episode of That's Delivered. I'm your host, Trucking Ray. Make sure you check out Dickerson Trucks, Custom Trucks, and keep an eye out for those incredible truck shows around the country. Until next time, stay safe, stay driven, and keep rolling.